Okay, so with the new project we have today, we're going to paint this lovely scene. It has kind of fall colors, beautiful light coming through from the window. We're going to change a bit in it. We're not gonna paint it exactly the same, but we'll try to have the same idea, the same feel. What we're gonna do first, so I'm gonna be using Payne's Gray, Burnt Umber, Burnt Sienna, and a bit of white. So I'm going to start with the wall. So the wall is a focal point. And I'm going to start with the wall. So you see the wall has bricks on it all over here. And this will do after. We're not going to do this right now. So I primed the canvas in Burnt Umber. And I primed it in 2 layers of Burnt Umber and Burnt Umber and water. It's not just Burnt Umber. Just to give that deep brown background. I could have primed it in a reddish color as well, or orange, but I thought Burnt Umber will be a good color for everything, all of the rest of the stuff that we're going to put around. Also, what I did is I pushed the chairs up a bit. So you see here, the chairs are very close to the bottom. So instead of that, I pushed the chairs up so I can have a little bit more of the the wooden planks of the wood on the floor. So and everything else is kind of the same. Now I'm going to be using different sizes of bright or flat. That's all we need today. There's no detail, nothing. We will see if we have time for detail, but we're going to be working on the wall today. That's the first thing. Background, we work on the background and then we come forward. It's easier. So I'm going to take the brush that is kind of wider. Also, I have this, which is a knife. And we are going to be using this a bit with putting kind of a bit of a texture on the wall. So I'm going to start with this size. It's a medium size. I'm going to take browns or oranges for now. So I'm going to work with oranges and forget about the blues. Not yet, the gray blue. I'm going to take burnt sienna, a little bit of burnt umber, and I'm just going to go across or in any direction you want. It doesn't matter. And if you can get a bit of darks here and there using burnt umber, more burnt umber with the burnt sienna, and other places will use more of burnt sienna than the burnt umber. So to give that wall a bit of variation in the color. So it's not all the same all over. I'm kind of doing a brush stroke that looks kind of like a brick, but it's random. Take a bit of burnt sienna, put it over on the side. So I'm just looking at the reference, and I look at the reference and see, where do I see more orange? Kind of in this area, more pronounced, or more, earth tone orange. On the side, I see more of the browns, and especially if we are when we are going to put the leaves. I'll show you here. When we are going to put the leaves, it's good to have behind those leaves, it's good to have dark, because the leaves will look like they're coming forward. If we have a very warm, bright color behind the leaves and they are bright, they're going to mix with the background. So you see where there are strong colored leaves in here, light color, the background is a bit darker. That helps the leaves it helps to push the leaves forward. So when you're painting, you're keeping in mind what's next. Why am I putting this color here? Why is the value darker here and lighter on the other side? You are, making sure that whatever is going to be in front of that value or that color is the right temperature and the right value. All right. So we have kind of a very nice light orangey earth tone, not orange. It will change if you find that this is too light for now or too bright. It will change with whatever we're going to put on top. You'll see in a minute. Now, in this corner right there, I can leave it just the way it is, or I could add a little bit more of a dark color. And it might be a good idea to do this, to add a bit of a dark color. And let's go down here. The reason I'm doing this is just once I start putting, the reason I'm putting oranges over here, although I know there are no oranges in there, just in case when I start putting the bluish gray, it's nice to see some orange in between peeking through. It makes it more kind of interesting, and it's not dull. Now, I'm going to do one thing here. I like the idea of the corners being darker, a little bit darker. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take at this point, and I'll pause after. I'm going to take Payne's Gray, and I'm going to put Burnt Umber in my Payne's Gray. So it's kind of a darker, earthy brown. And I'm going to come here with the same brush, and at this point I'm going to go across kind of with my brush stroke to make sure that the edges right there are not sharp. You need to blend your brush stroke into the foreground or into that orange that we have here. So I'm going to take more of this brown, earthy, dark color and just kind of prepare the background where we're going to put these beautiful leaves, hanging leaves. Again, I'm going to do the same here because I really like the fact that underneath the chair there isn't a sharp line. You don't see where the wall starts and where it ends, and you can hardly see it. It's there, but you can hardly see it. I like this. This is in the corner where the light doesn't have a lot of light. So the light is coming from the window, which is on the right side, over this way. So all of this area is lit, and that one here is is dark. All right. I'm making sure there is no harsh edge with the brush stroke I'm using right now. I'll do the same over here. I don't know what's in here over on this side. This is an AI. This is artificial intelligence, so it's not real. It's not a real place. But whoever did this did a great job. All right. I'm going to pause and then we'll come back. All right. So now let's take a little bit of that burnt umber, tiny bit of, or mostly burnt umber. We don't need to do a lot of Payne's gray. Let's put some burnt umber in here, just kind of underneath the table, because the light is coming from the right. You will have a bit of dark underneath this table and behind this chair. We're going to be putting some leaves and behind the chair there, but still, that's good. Okay, let's do this too, kind of like this. It's not.
So did I miss something? Sorry, I had to. The ladies' room was calling me.
Oh, okay. Okay, so no, just burnt umber. I'm putting a bit of burnt umber, touch a little bit of Payne's gray, like really touch of Payne's gray, underneath this table.
Oh, okay.
Just kind of like this. See how it's on an angle?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I was gonna dip my brush in my coffee. Ooh.
Uh-oh. Not again.
Well, yeah, I know. Okay. Give you a couple of minutes to do this. Just put that dark in there, and then we're going to go to the brownish, bluish color, grayish color. Our neighbors across the road have a swimming pool. They're having major work in their backyard, and they actually covered the swimming pool. They don't have swimming pool anymore.
Oh.
It's grass. It looks great though. It looks bigger. Too much work.
Maintenance, huh?
Hmm?
Pool needs a lot of maintenance.
Mm-hmm. That's what he said. He said, I don't want to do this anymore. It's a lot of work.
Especially a lot of people, as time goes on, they don't use them as much as they used to.
That's true.
Lifestyle changes, age, whatever.
True.
That's very expensive to have done when I'm talking, I don't know, 20 years ago when my parents bought their house in Barrie. It had a pool and they had to have it filled in. And way, way back then, it was about $20,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's expensive. Okay.
But this is not pool, so.
Yeah, well.
My question would be then, why would you buy that house? But anyway, whatever.
That's okay. Sometimes the house looks great and this is what you want, but the pool is in there.
Yeah,
is not what you want. Okay, so now I'm going to take Payne's gray And I'm going to add a bit of white to my Payne's gray. And you see the Payne's gray I'm using is golden. So it's blue. It has that blue, beautiful blue color. Now, I'm adding a little bit of white in there. I should add more because that's more Payne's gray, more paint. Gonna need that.
Mine's a Liquitex paint. Do I need to add glue to it?
Not yet. No, not yet. Okay. Let's focus first on putting the color on, and then we'll see what we want to do. Now, I'm gonna take again Payne's gray. Put it next to the other one. Don't combine them. Take the Payne's gray and take Burnt Umber. Put it in that Payne's gray that you're putting in here in the center. All right. And let's take a little bit of white. Put it in. So we need this Payne's gray to have more of the Burnt Umber in it. Kind of like this. All right. So now what I'm going to do is you can easily take your brush if you don't want to use a knife and just spread this Payne's gray around. And I'll do both. I'll do with the brush and I'll do with the knife, and I'll use both of them. This is where the clock.
You're gonna mix the colors back and forth that you just mixed. Or which color are you using first?
I'm using the brown and blue, gray. Yeah. So I'm just gonna take. This is going to be, like I said before, I mentioned, it's going to be layers. So this is not what the last layer, right? So this is kind of in between. Now I'm going to keep an eye on the orange that I have. I don't want to lose the orange completely. I love this orange. And even though in the reference, you see less of this orange and more of the gray, I like to keep some of this orange showing through. Okay, so this is with the brush. I'm going to take a little bit more white, put it here in the blue one. And then come here, actually make sure that it's not too light. It's going to dry darker. So this is with the, using the brush. There's not a lot of that bluish color. So if you spread too much of the blue, go back and add a tiny bit of the combination of brown and blue together and white, just to tone down the blue. It's actually very gray. There's no blue in there. It's really gray. It's just kind of a hint of blue, and that can be done after. It could be glazed on. The blue can be glazed on after. I'm looking mostly at making sure that the values are there, the right values, light and dark, light and dark. And we're going to go through this and put some detail after. Now, I can continue like this, but I'm going to take my knife. It will give me a different texture. Mix both colors, add a bit of white, slowly. and choose a spot where there's more light. So I don't want to use this where there's dark. I'm going to use it where there's light for now. And I can see over here, there's a bit of a lighter kind of textured corner, or take that. Now it's a bit too light, so it's okay. I can wait for it to dry, and then what I'll do is I'll glaze it, and I'll show you how to do this. It's fine. I'm gonna bring in a tiny bit of this red in there because why not? It looks good. Nice. Right behind the chair. You can do this also. Spread it with your brush and then go over with the knife. I'm going to go darker a bit here because I'm going in. It's hard to do this behind the chair, behind something that is defined. So I'm going to do this. Take my brush again, wipe it from the water that I have on it. Pick up some of these colors from here. Spread them. Even if you spread them with your brush after, you still have a bit of texture and thickness of the paint as well. You don't need to use the knife if you like. Brush is fine. I'm just showing you another way of doing this. Now, you remember when I said I'm not glazing now, the paint is still wet, but I'm putting a little bit of dark color, which is I'm combining just Payne's gray and brown and putting it there to kind of tone it down a bit. But I don't want to tone the whole thing. You know, I don't want it to be all of it toned. That's fine if you have a tiny bit of light in here, light color. Now, I know that the wall is the focal point, but using too much texture on the wall is going to take away from the chairs as well. So we don't want to overdo it. We're just going to spread the color here and there. That's brownish, grayish color. And that's why this is nice, because it has layers of different colors on top of each other. It's not one color. You know, you look at one corner, it's brown. The other corner right next to it is orange. It's just lovely the way the brick looks in here. I'm going to take a little bit of brown and add a tiny bit of white in this brown, okay? That's burnt umber. I'm just going to put a little bit of, yeah, that's good. And maybe a touch of the gray. Play around with these colors. Experiment. Okay, again here. And again, these colors are not going to be the only colors there. We're going to have some detail, some texture. We're going to have the flower, the leaves on top. It's going to look really good. Now I'm going to take a bit of that burnt sienna with burnt umber and make this part a little bit smaller. The part where I added the gray, I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. It was a bit too much. Okay. Now again, yeah, there are certain details in there that I really like and I want to keep, and then there are details that I really don't care about. So I pick and choose the details that I want to keep or I want to put more emphasis on. So this is one of them. This one here behind the chair is a lovely little detail of the gray that's kind of peeling off, and it's like one layer over another. Right. Now, let's go. Let's go to this side. Again, play around with the colors a bit. It's nice. Some gray, some light, some parts that will have gray and make sure that the value is right. I'm going to be putting green in there anyway. Okay, this is too light. I went too far. Let's take burnt sienna and Payne's gray and darken this back a little bit. Yeah, that's better. Behind the chair, there's some grayish color. Okay, let's take a break. All right, I'm started recording, so I'm going to use gray again, the same gray. Even if you have a bit of brown, add it to it. And white. We want the panels on the window to look like glass, but we don't want them to be too light or too blue. So we're going to keep that gray color going. And I'm going to make my paint a bit watery, so not too thick. This is a good color. It's a good color. Okay, wipe my brush, and I'm just going to put here some of this gray. Once I start putting the green on the wall, I will put some green in there as a wash as well over that. So I will glaze part of not the whole thing, part of it. Maybe not. I might just leave it just the way it is. The only way to find out what I'm going to do after is just to put the panel color and see how it goes, how it looks. This is a very, it's not an important detail. It's there, but it's not important. And in a small area like this, there's not enough room to put too much in there. It looks messy sometimes, and it's not necessary. It will take away from the main focal point. This is good enough. It gives the idea that this is a window pane, so we don't need more than that. I'm not even sure I want to put the greens in there, but we will put something on the window ledge. All right, now we have time to add the window ledge. So I'm going to take Payne's Gray, a little bit of burnt sienna. If you have burnt umber there, that's fine, go for it. And see, let me see, this needs to be dark. I think it should be darker. You know, mixing these two colors together will give me a really dark brown. It's good. Gray, I should say, not brown, gray. Perfect. Okay. This is the side of the ledge, so there's not a lot of light in here. And now I'm going to take a little bit of that white, not white, I mean light gray I was using for the window pane. Add a bit of white to it. And just go from here out. I don't want it to look too clean or too straight. I'll put something in there. Let's take a small brush. Let's take a tiny bit more of the Payne's gray. Just kind of define a little bit this point. Not too much, just a tiny bit, this ledge. That's it, from the back. And now we have a really nice looking ledge in there. I'm gonna this is gonna dry darker, but I will adjust the value once it's completely dry. Now I'm gonna take with a round brush a little bit of Payne's gray, a little bit of Payne's gray, and woo, geez, okay, a little bit of Payne's gray and burnt sienna, and I'm gonna kind of create a little bit of a detail that makes it look like there's a crack in here in the, and then kind of uneven edge because it makes it look old. This is drying darker, the ledge, so I'm just going to put a tiny bit of highlight here and there so it's not even everywhere. You know, like right here. There. Great. Okay, this is done. I think it's enough for this week.
Gorgeous.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to pause. Okay, so this is done for this week. Next week we'll work on putting more details on the wall and maybe start the chairs and the table.